Hey guys, it's Jake from Team Insanity. Got some new lighting and audio stuff in here, so tell us what you guys think, if you guys see a difference. So we think that we see a difference. But anyways, we have the Geo 2.1 review. Thank you to Dominic for letting me use this for the weekend. I got to shoot lots and lots of paint through this, and I also got to use it for the tournament that we have, which was on Sunday. So first things first, playing Eclipse. If you guys live underneath a rock and you don't already know, they have the best packaging on the market, undoubtedly. I mean, it's definitely not like Bob Long. It's definitely not a cardboard case. Empire has some decent packaging on like the Vanquishes and stuff, but the Plain Eclipse packaging is amazing. Comes in a nice hard box. In this box, you normally get a manual up here, but it's not in there. Plain Eclipse has some awesome manuals. You get a 689 stock barrel back shaft 4. You guys, if you don't know how I feel on the shaft 4, it's meh. It's not the best barrel on the market. I definitely like my die boomstick and ultralights and that kind of stuff, but for a stock barrel, I guess it's all right. I guess it'll do. What you also get is, I don't know why they send you a gun, because I mean, in the parts kits, they give you enough parts to build your own Geo. Honestly, there's so many parts in their parts kits. Like I said, if you guys live underneath a rock, that's amazing. Plain Eclipse thinks, I mean, you'll honestly, don't even worry about buying a parts kit for this gun. I know some people that buy guns, they always like to buy O-ring kits and stuff as they're buying it. You don't need to buy any parts kits, extra parts kits with any Plain Eclipse gun. You never will, because they give you everything that you will ever possibly need in their parts kit, which is really nice. So they really think about their packaging. This is on all Plain Eclipse markers, even their ETHA, their lower end gun. You get some Plain Eclipse lubricant right here, and you also get, which is amazing, you get a freaking awesome O-ring, or not O-ring, Allen key set right here. This is a really good Allen key set. Everyone needs Allen wrenches, so definitely good set right there. Everyone needs tools. Can never have enough Allen wrenches, because whenever I look for them, I never have them. So just to take out the 2.1. Obviously the 3 and the 3.1 and the 3.5 have come out, but people wanted to see, some people on the forums have been asking for like Plain Eclipse gun reviews. Plain Eclipse gun reviews. So I said, okay, I'll do my best. And then Dominic was just like, hey brah, do this review. And I was like, okay. But first things first, the Plain Eclipse, arguably one of the best ASAs on the market. Probably one of my favorite ASAs, the Pops ASAs. I mean, it's so simple and so easy. I mean, Plain Eclipse made it easy. There's nothing to this. All you have to do, there's a button to, you know, you push this, and then you click the button and pull it back if you want to degas your gun. It's really easy. It's really simple. But definitely better than the die ASAs. I have a DM, and I definitely like the Pops ASAs way more than the die ASAs any day of the week. Has a nice regulator. The other little thing that I like on the Plain Eclipse reg is that it's marked with what size Allen wrench that you need. So when you go to the chrono station, and instead of fooling around to find which Allen wrench you need, it's already marked, so you know which one that you need. It's marked right down here, which is really nice. The trigger on it, Plain Eclipse, their triggers are alright, but they're definitely not my favorite triggers in the world. I've definitely seen a lot better. I like my die triggers, my DM trigger a lot more. The Bob Long triggers are amazing. A lot of people put deuce triggers and critical triggers on these. Even the Violent series triggers are amazing on this, but the deuce triggers are a big hit for this. But I really like the Bob Long triggers more, the DM triggers more. It feels really magnetic-y. It doesn't feel, I don't know, I've just felt better. It just doesn't feel like, I get used to it. If you're ramping, no big deal. Semi-auto, it's definitely not my cup of tea. You get the great feed neck that they have, that they put on basically all of their markers that you'll ever get from them. Great clamping feed neck. Obviously, you won't have to worry about anything. And we will take apart the bolt and do the maintenance later. Also, Plain Eclipse has amazing boards This was very, very easy to get down, to change modes, all that good stuff. There's really not much to these boards. They're really nice. Tells you what the battery life is and everything on this. Very nice boards. I really like their OLED boards. They definitely think about everything. They have great boards in their guns. I definitely like the ergonomics of this gun. I felt better ergonomics, but this is definitely a very, very comfortable gun. You know, maybe the only thing that I would honestly ever add maybe would be like some tape on the reg, or one of those Exalt regs. I talked about this in the not the DM review, the Bob Long G6R review, because if you're snap shooting and you're rubbing up against a bunker and this gets all oily and paint filled, your hand is just going to slip all over this aluminum. Even though it's not as bad as the G6R, because the macro line will be able to stop you, and this is a little bit better than the G6R is in terms of grip kind of way. If it gets slick, I really haven't had that much of an issue, but me personally, if I was going to own one, I would definitely tape this up. I would definitely, you know, make it known that this is, I would definitely, you know, make it known that this is mine, and I like taping my stuff. As you guys saw on my reflex reel, I had the barrel back tape so I could get grip, and I could also barrel mount my camera and stuff on it, so it wouldn't scratch the anodizing. But yeah, I would definitely maybe think about that, even though it's not that big of a deal. But if you're snap shooting, you know, they fixed that with the 3.1s and the LV1s and all that stuff. They put the nice rubber grips up there. But these grips are really, really nice. I like how it sort of reminds me of an ultralight frame in the way, just not as nice, not as good. And what I mean by that is that it's nice and thin where it needs to be, and then it starts to branch off and get fatter and towards the bottom, which is nice. It really fits nice. It's nice. It's a thin profile. It's definitely not an E-Tech grip frame. It's like an E-Tech 4. It's definitely not like that. You're getting a high-end grip frame on this. You're getting a nice, comfortable shot. And the other things that I like about the Geo is that you can take the ergonomics of it. I mean, there's no LPR sticking out right here. So the thing is that you can wrap your thumb. You can take your thumb and put it anywhere you want. You can grip it however you want. There's no LPR restricting that like on the Egos, other than the Ego 11 and all that stuff. There's nothing really constricting your hands or anything like that. Also, me personally, I like the milling on the 2.1s more than the 3s, and the reason why is that if you just look at this, I love the deeper cuts. I love how the milling is, and I love the anodizings that they have on this. But the milling and the anodizings together that they have on these, the color combos are absolutely amazing. But I definitely like the milling and the anodizings that they have on this, even though the anodizings are the same on the other ones. But I just love how the lines flow. I just definitely love how this gun looks. It just flows all together. Really, really nice. Feels good in the hands. So now what we're going to do next is, we're going to do a maintenance on this. I'm going to take apart the bolt, show you what you have to do to lube the bolt, put it back together for you, and then we will take it out and do the conclusion. Alright, so this is the 2.1 maintenance. Now on the back cap, maybe out of the box if you buy it new or if you buy it used and the person before you tighten down the back cap, then you'll have to unscrew the back cap maybe with an Allen wrench. But hand tighten it. You won't really have to do a whole lot. I mean, you don't really need to torque this bad boy down, and just put your finger in there and get the rest of the bolt out. So once you do that, here is your Plenty Eclipse bolt assembly right here. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a towel. You're definitely going to want to take the Plenty Eclipse gun lube that they give you to maintenance this, and you're just going to want to wipe off all the old lube that you have on this. Just wipe off any lube that you don't need. And you're going to take this part of the bolt, just pop it right on through. Should be good. And you're just going to make sure that you wipe everything down so it's not like too oily or too greasy. Obviously there's going to be still a little bit of a film on. You're not going to be able to make it 100%, but you're just going to want to make sure you get off all the old lube, any dirt, any grime that's in here. It is a closed bolt system, so there shouldn't be too much dirt or anything that gets in here. It's just going to be sort of just old lube, so it's not like an Ego where you might get dirt coming in through the bolt and that kind of stuff. And still lube on here. There's a lot of lube. Dominic wasn't kidding when he said that he put a lot of lube on this bad boy. Just gonna lube. And this is pretty simple, basic maintenance. I mean, now the rest is just, once you wipe it down, all you really have to do is just oil it back up and put it back together. So, I mean, if you want to stay tuned and watch that, I mean, I guess you can, but there's really not a whole ton to do to this. Now, I like working, if you guys know, if you've seen my reviews before, I like working from the outside, and I like working from the inside and go out, because then I can keep these O-rings nice and lubed and not have to like set them down and they roll around on the towels and that kind of stuff. That's my tip for maintaining like spools and that kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna lube this first and then set it down on the towel and it's gonna roll around and it's just gonna wipe off some of the lube. So that's just kind of pointless. And don't really need to take anything else apart from right here. Honestly, this is far down that you're gonna need to have to take this bad boy apart. This is all you're going to ever really have to do. I wouldn't really mess with the regulator. Once you get your regulator set, maybe if you buy it used, every time I buy a used gun, of course I take it apart like a mother, and I lube everything. But I really wouldn't recommend lubing your reg all the time. It really does not need it. I see people trying to lube their regs every, I don't even know, just every 3 or 4 cases. That's kind of unnecessary because it's not going to be as consistent. Just keep it right where it's at. Don't touch it. You know, maybe pull it out and pull that bad boy out and do some maintenance on it I mean, once you have a problem, I mean, honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of how I feel on regulators, and that's why I try to not. There's still a little bit of lube in here, but so yeah, I wouldn't really touch the reg necessarily. If you don't need to, if it's not leaking, if it's set right, if it's not being inconsistent, there's no point in all at messing around with that reg. You won't have to do that. So I think it's pretty stupid if you try to take it out and lube it and everything every case. I mean, it's not really going to hurt it, but you're going to hurt more of your performance than anything. And there is an inner O-ring in here, so you're going to want to make sure that you lube that inner O-ring that's right in here. You're just going to want to take the bolt, shove it right back through. And don't forget to lube your outside. I did it just a little bit. Eclipse gives some awesome lube. Definitely not going to lube it nearly as much as you did, Dominic. Get a nice film. It is winter time. Let me just wipe off my hands. And like I said, it is just hand tighten it. Not much more that you can really do. No point in taking it and taking an Allen wrench and doing that, and I'll show you right now. Also, don't forget to lube the back O-rings like I did. Just grab my tank. I'll show you how easy the POPPS is. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know what the POPPS ASA is, I'll just show you how easy it is. There you go. It's all aired up. There's no trying to take like the die ASA and just fight with it and try to get it on, that kind of stuff. So that is the maintenance video for the 2.1. Really simple, really easy, and let's bring this bad boy out and let's do the conclusion on it. Sorry that we didn't have an efficiency test. It's really cold outside and we just did not have the time, and it's not really worth doing an efficiency test on this thing right now. During the cold, it wouldn't get its max efficiency. So with that being said, let's pull out the camera, let's finish the review. Alright, so in conclusion, my thoughts on the Geo is that it's definitely not one of the smoothest poppets on the market. Especially the 2.1, the Geo 3 is a little bit better. The 3.1 is it's the same unless you put an IV core kit in it and everything. But really, the thing is how I feel about the Geos is that they are definitely not like a DM series or a Lux or even a MacDev GTI. or any other type of those spools, or like maybe even a bob long pop, not poppet, spool. Not so much the bob long spools, but it's definitely not like the DMs or that kind of stuff, or the NTs and those sort of things, because those guns require maintenance every case. And if you're not maintaining those every case, you're not going to get the most amazing shots that you need, especially off of Luxes and those DMs. Those O-rings really need to be lubed. You know, you lube them lightly and you lube them often. That's how you lube DMs and Luxes and that kind of stuff. So definitely not, this takes a little bit less maintenance, which a lot of people like. And it doesn't have as smooth of a shot. So there's sort of like a trade-off. Even with the IV core kit, or the IV bolt, I keep on saying core kit, but whatever, you know what I'm saying. The IV bolt, even the IV bolt is not as smooth as, like, we had it side by side by a Vanquish, and it was about sort of like a Vanquish, and it's not as smooth as sort of like a Lux. It's maybe like sort of a DM, but it's definitely not the smoothest out there, you know. Not better than like the GTIs, the Luxes, and, you know, the DM 14s and 15s. They are very, very nice, and it's a huge improvement. But the thing is that I think about the Geo is how I feel about it when I shoot it, is that if you're looking to maybe get into spools, and maybe you don't own a spool, maybe you're shooting an Ego or a G6R or something like that, the way that I feel how I get this gun is that if you're coming from a POPPIT and wanting to move to a spool, this would be the gun to go, because the reason why is that it's not like a Lux where it's temperature, like you have to tune it for every 5 degrees that it changes outside kind of thing. It's definitely not like a Lux, and it's definitely not like a DM where you have to, you know, maintenance it all this freaking time. So if you're coming from a POPPIT, you're not really, like, especially an Ego, you're used to having like no maintenance to very, very little of just lubing, or just putting a little bit of oil on a rammer every 5 billion cases. I mean, there's not much to maintaining like an Ego or that type of gun. So if you're wanting to maybe get getting into a spool, it's definitely more maintenance, but it's definitely one of the guns that takes a lot less maintenance as a spool compared to the DMs, the Luxes, and that kind of things. So if you're trying to maybe get into spool play, a Geo 2, a Geo 2.1, a Geo 3, that is where I definitely feel it's a great way to start, because it doesn't take as much maintenance to do. You're going to get the reliability. This is going to shoot in the cold. It'll shoot in -10 degrees. I was playing with it at indoor, no problem. I had it out in the cold. I've played with Geos out in the cold. You know, we were just doing it a few days ago. And you once it hits 50, you can take a Lux and throw it out the window. It's not going to work. So all in all, if you're definitely looking to switch, definitely look at the Geos. It's a lot of people like them. Not as much maintenance. They work no matter what. You get the reliability of playing Eclipse. You know, they've been around for a long time, the awesome customer service that they have. So definitely think about this. Or even if you're just looking for a spool and maybe you don't like the Luxes, the DMs, the GTIs, the Bob Long guns or anything like that, or the Insights, you know, then definitely look at the Geos, because they're a really nice spool. Definitely not the smoothest spools on the market, and it's not like it has like a nice big LPR like the DMs do, where you can tune them and, you know, throw those different, like the Billy Wing bolts in them and try to tune them to different performances and that kind of thing. But you know, like I said, it's very, very low maintenance, that kind of stuff, which a lot of people like. So yeah, this is definitely a nice gun. If you guys have ever shot like a Dye NT10, I know Jacob's NT10 shoots sort of like this gun a little bit, or like the NT series. It definitely doesn't have like a little puff, sort of. I don't know how to explain it. Like the Luxes, I like to explain is like a puff. It's just a poof, poof, poof. This is like a pop. It sort of has like that, definitely a little bit more pop. Definitely a little bit more kick than some of the other spools I've shot. But like I said, for what you're getting, for what you pay for, is amazing. Especially what these are going used for right now on VSTs and stuff. You really cannot beat this, especially if you're just looking to start getting into spools. So yeah, that's definitely my recommendation for you people that are maybe checking to get into spools and you're newer to the sport, or you're switching over, that kind of stuff, and it's just low maintenance. So yeah, hope this helped you guys out a lot. Leave a like and a comment if you want. Yeah, check out our Ask Us Anything video, Team Insanity PB on Snapchat. Add us. check out the forums and community channel. Send us your footage for the community channel. It's contact@teaminsanitypb@gmail.com. Send it over Google Drive for your footage if you want to end up on the community channel. Peace.
That's a wrap.
Bye guys.
Alright, let's do the main announcement.
Yep.